Feinstein just slapped with cold retribution, big investigation bomb dropped in her lap. It looks like decades of Dianne Feinstein's senility might have finally caught up with her. Chick on the Right is reporting that Senator Tom Cotton from the great state of Arkansas has now said Dianne Feinstein's office will indeed be investigated for the leak of Christine Blasey Ford's letter. A letter which Ford herself explicitly requested be kept confidential. Watch, those lawyers are going to face a D.C. bar investigation into their misconduct. Dianne Feinstein and her staff is going to face an investigation into their misconduct. They have betrayed her, Cotton said on CBS Face the Nation. She has been victimized by Democrats on a search and destroy mission for Brett Kavanaugh. Here is more on the Democrat takedown of Kavanaugh via The Washington Times. Americans should be appalled and disgusted by how Christine Blasey Ford is being treated. My heart breaks for our nation over the disgrace of how the tragic issue of sexual assault is being used for political reasons. America is better than this. I also mourn over the loss of the presumption of innocence for the accused, and most of all, for Judge Brett Kavanaugh and his family. Ms. Ford continues to be used and emotionally badgered by Senator Dianne Feinstein and other Democrats, and even by her own attorneys. Ms. Feinstein has held the trusting and frightened woman in her very powerful fist, squeezing out every ounce of pain and misery in order to further a rabid political agenda. It is inexcusable that Ms. Feinstein did not immediately call for a confidential investigation into Ms. Ford's charges when she received her letter on July 30. Instead, she urged Ms. Ford to lawyer up, even connecting her to attorneys partially funded by Ms. Feinstein's radical leftist buddy, George Soros. Ms. Ford discovered in front of the world that her lawyers failed to extend to her the offer from Senate Judiciary Committee investigators to fly to her home and interview her in private, away from the circus that everyone knew a Senate hearing would create. Her attorneys should be investigated for malpractice. Hell-bent on thwarting President Trump at every level, the Democratic senator and her colleagues pledged to do anything to try to kill the U.S. Supreme Court nomination of Judge Kavanaugh. And they have done everything, even lie to, emotionally abuse and use a vulnerable woman as a political pawn. Ms. Ford appears to have suffered from some traumatic event as a child. For whatever reason, she has chosen to take it out on Judge Kavanaugh. But hers is a hollow accusation. She cannot provide any corroboration of her accusation against Judge Kavanaugh. In fact, the supposed witnesses she earlier named all say, under penalty of perjury, that she is mistaken. Yet Ms. Feinstein and her cohorts insisted on an FBI investigation, which will cause Ms. Ford more suffering. I wonder, did her attorneys or any of the Democrats warn her that another FBI investigation will allow others to examine the personal details of her life? Does she know that they will dig up her high school yearbook, or delve into her psychological state as a teen? Or that embarrassing events of her youth might be revealed? Is anyone who showered praise on Ms. Ford trying to protect her from further trauma? 6 FBI investigations and multiple Senate hearings and investigations have revealed only positive conclusions about Judge Kavanaugh's past and character. Ms. Ford's past has not seen such scrutiny. Now, thanks to the leftists, Ms. Ford's life will be put on public display, as the leftist media continue to berate Judge Kavanaugh with breathless, unsubstantiated accusations. As an advocate for victims of violent crime, I stand with hurting women who will never be the same. Because I believe in justice for all, I unequivocally support the rights of the accused, too. Justice demands that an accusation be accompanied by verifiable facts before someone is branded a criminal and his or her life ruined. Had Ms. Feinstein believed that Ms. Ford's allegation was credible, she would have immediately followed Senate procedures and called for a confidential investigation that protected the rights of the accused and the accuser. Instead, Ms. Feinstein coerced Ms. Ford to participate in a very public trial. The hearing did not turn out as the leftists planned. The American people heard a very emotional but weak accusation against a man of high moral character. They saw how Ms. Feinstein and her cohorts manipulated a fragile woman into an untenable position as their public pawn. Now, with the help of Senator Jeff Flake, who fears feminists more than he values principle, they are dragging out the process, using the weapon of delay in order to sacrifice Judge Kavanaugh on the altar of their socialist agenda. The leftists have co-opted the Me Too movement as they call on victims to rain terror on any senator who stands up for justice. Not one of them seems to care what happens to Truth or Ms. Ford in the process. Ms. Feinstein and her allies will continue to squeeze the life out of Ms. Ford for political gain until she has no real life left. God help Ms. Ford. God help us all. And may God bless Judge Kavanaugh with the seat on the Supreme Court that he deserves. Cotton also added that lawyers recommended to Christine Blasey Ford by Democrats will face a Washington, D.C., bar investigation for telling her that Senate Judiciary Committee staffers would not travel to California to interview her about her sexual assault allegation. Something that was 100% false. Senator Cotton also said that Democrats like Dianne Feinstein would be at fault if women become less likely to report sexual assaults because of the way they betrayed her, although she explicitly requested the letter be kept confidential. Feinstein, who is a ranking Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, received a letter over the summer from Ford where she described the incident with Kavanaugh. A letter Feinstein had kept confidential at the request of Ford. But at some point, information about Ford was leaked to the press, though the California Democrat denied that she or her office was responsible. It's safe to assume that's where it came from since no one else had the letter or knew about the incident. In fact, everyone who knew Ford when the incident happened has gone on the record saying this whole narrative could not have happened. Which would probably explain why Ford's social media accounts were scrubbed within half a day of when the letter leaked. Whatever happened here, let's hope this is a real investigation and not just political theater, as is the case with most of Trey Gowdy's so-called investigations.